What's going on, family, on this Wednesday? Be it that you might be a little warm, or a lot of the country is really a lot cold. We're in the building. Yours
That's right.
truly, Joe Dupree from 100BLK, the Black Station at www.the100blk.com. Streaming live on Facebook and on YouTube with my good brother, Edward J. Brown, who is a licensed medical social worker in the building as we do this thing we call Wellness Wednesday, because a healthy you is a better
That's
you. And last but not least, your mental health matters. What's up, my brother?
Hey man, what's going on, man? Good to see you again.
Again.
We get a chance to hang out this weekend, and an event that I tell people they need to put that on their calendar, just like they do Essence and Bayou Classic, because I'm telling you, the Legacy Bowl did their thing this weekend, and it was
They
good to hang out with you for a minute, my brother. We had a great time.
definitely, it was a great time. Big ups to my former employer from the days of me being on the yard at Grambling State and working for a coach at that time, Doug Williams. Of
Absolutely.
course, a lot of people know Doug Williams is the first African American quarterback to win a Super Bowl. Him and Shaq Harris came together and came up with a great brainchild to highlight some of these HBCU players, athletes, coaches, and programs. Because let me tell you something, the ice ain't always colder on the other
Woo!
side of town. The
Say it
grass
again.
is not always colder at the other side of town. So, we've got a lot of great people who do great things that go to these historically Black colleges and universities. And I recommend to any young man or young woman who is looking for a good institution of higher learning to attend and obtain their degrees to look at these HBCUs. Be exact, my brother teaches at a HBCU, uh,
Absolutely.
Alcorn State.
Alcorn State University, the Department of Social Work, and I was in social sciences. And I tell you what, being a graduate of HBCU, the Southern University, and I used to tell people, I guess other people love their HBCUs too. I don't understand why, but but as I started working at Alcorn, I realized that I didn't have anything vested in any other university other than Southern University. And now that I am an instructor at Alcorn for the past 11 years, I understand that the same way they nurtured me into manhood at Southern, they're doing that. They're raising good brothers and good sisters at Alcorn, at Jackson State, at Xavier, at Dillard. We have to really nurture them back. Once you get out, you got to remember, this is where I came from, and we can't get out, be successful, and forget where we made, as they used to say, we made our bones.
That's correct.
So I give good big ups to Alcorn, and they have truly welcomed me as a Southernite, and I'm one of theirs unless they play in the Jags,
Okay.
and then
Hey.
but yeah, I really love Southern University, and I've grown to be very, very fond of Alcorn as well. So
Right. There's some great HBCUs out there. You represent Southern. That's where you did your undergrad. I went to grad school at the Grambling State University, and I consider myself a G man. I do a lot of work for Southern University. Most of the time, you'll see me in more Southern colors than you will my Grambling colors. But at the same times, like Alcorn, JSU,
yeah,
TSU, Dillard, Xavier, uh, Texas Southern, Prairie View, and the list goes
Pine
on
Bluff,
and on.
all of
Yeah,
them.
Arkansas Pine Bluff, Morehouse. We even
Mm,
going to take it to some of the MEAC schools.
yeah, yeah.
We'll talk about Bethune Cookman, who that was a former MEAC school, and FAMU, which was former MEAC's, now part of
Hey,
the
listen,
SWAC.
I gotta go on and give them a shout out because
Okay,
if anybody said anything to me about that Legacy Bowl, you know what I would have to say?
talk to me.
Bowie State was in the house.
Come on, come
I
on.
mean, they had a section for Bowie State, and they had a number of Bowie State players that were major contributors to that win over the SWAC this weekend. So when I looked around and saw 50 almost look like people from Bowie State, I was shocked. But they came out to represent and support their players. So big shout out to Bowie State.
Yes, big shout out to the MEAC. It was a mixture of SWAC and MEAC. You had Team Robinson that was mostly SWAC, but had some sprinkling of some of the MEAC players in it. And you had Team Gaither, which was mostly MEAC, but had some sprinkling of some SWAC players in there. And it was really just really a great time by all. Of course, it is Mardi Gras season in Louisiana, and
Yes.
everything is really going hard to pay. Les bon temps roulés. And there's a lot of that. We were there at the weekend where a lot of parades were rolling, a lot of other activities were going on, but still there was a great showing to support the HBCU. So we do this thing called Wellness Wednesday because we believe a healthy you is a better you, and your mental health matters. And and right now, let's just talk about it for real. Every time you turn on the TV, there's something messing with your mental health.
Absolutely.
Right now, every channel you turn on, all you hear is the looming echoes of war coming to a part of the world that may cause conflict to sprout from there and even go further. So that can really put people in a bad place, and because of this looming war or invasion in the Ukraine, it's affecting a great deal. It's affecting gas prices. Of course, we've already had supply chain issues due to COVID. And right now,
stock market took a major dive today.
Right. People are going through.
Yep.
And your mental health matters. So we're going to open up the phone lines. Listen, as we continue this conversation, if you would like to join in on any of the conversation, you can give us a call at 917-408-3773. That's 917-408-3773. Of course, we are streaming live on Facebook and on YouTube. So I'm going to let my brother Edward J. Brown, take it away. It's all you, brother.
Hey, listen, we talking about this war, this potential war, but we need to really start looking at the stress. What if you had individuals in the military? I remember back in the day when I was a youngster and you got out of high school, a lot of brothers was like, I'm going to go into the military and get money so I can go to college for free. So I would like to say, because this is not what I had on my mind to talk about today, but it's a very good issue to point out today. We have to start looking at people and the stress and anxiety that they feel as a result of a lot of political issues. We talked about that in my class last night, that politics determine the type of services we as therapists and clinicians and social workers can provide. So I think that we need to really start to focus a little bit on anxiety and stress as a result of social issues that loom over our head. But Brother Dupree, we will have that as point A and this is point B, because we talked about this a lot over the past few weeks. And something you said recently made me say we need to really talk about this in the forum on Wellness Wednesdays. What about the anxiety we put on ourselves as a result of self-imagery? I realized as I talked to one of my former students the other day, she said, well, I'm picking up double loads at work because one of my coworkers is going out to have a tummy tuck. And I realized that cosmetic surgery is a $1 billion industry in this country.
Wow.
They even got names for it. Mommy makeovers. I'm going to go and get this tucked and this lifted. And now I see brothers who don't want to put the work in at the gym start to have their muscles in their body injected so that they can look like they've been working out at the gym.
Wow.
Now, Brother Dupree, this is the part where I think you have put this out there many times over these past weeks. What about the people that will go broke so they can wear the Christian Louboutins? They can carry the Michael Kors. They can drive the Mercedes and the Audis and the BMWs. What is happening internally when we are willing to sacrifice our peace of mind for what other people perceive us to be.
Wow. And you know, that's really deep because I had to make a social media post where I basically said, listen, here's our biggest problem. Our biggest problem is too many times we want to live up to the expectations of others.
Of others.
And then we have this thing that we measure success by certain bars that have been given to us to measure it with, that sometimes is not necessarily success. You may drive a nice car, but that doesn't mean you're wealthy. You may live in a nice house. That doesn't mean you're wealthy. You may wear nice clothes. That doesn't mean you're wealthy. You may be struggling, broke. You may be disgusted, can't be trusted, and busted. But to the outside world, because of these
You
appearances,
look like $1 million.
right, and then people don't know what's going on behind the veil, you know, and sadly we've got so many different factions that perpetuate this, you know. Women need to look a certain way, as you had earlier said. Men need to look a certain way. If you don't look this way, if you don't have a certain look, if you don't have a certain swag, then you ain't making it. You know, and family, we need to wake up on this. You know, we got some people chiming in, and I'm very happy that you're chiming in. Welcome to Wellness Wednesday, and we're going to get down to some real conversation. You know, the craziest thing is this: if you ain't got no love and no loyalty, what do you really have?
Correct. You know, I remember being a young man coming up, and my grandfather told me something. He said, you never define yourself by what you have, because when you don't have anything, then you don't feel like anything.
Mm.
So we have too many people today who literally let the opinions and the thought processes of others influence their behavior. I label it in the book that I'm writing, you give someone else control over your thermostat.
Wow.
So they control your thermostat.
Mm.
At the end of the day, when you become what we call in the therapeutic world, self-actualize, we work every day trying to get to self-actualization, which basically just means I'm trying to be the best me possible. When we start to look at how and what we define as success, we cannot continue to allow other people's opinions to control how we feel. You should never give anyone that kind of power over you. Unfortunately, it happens. That's why suicide, I had my students to write a paper on why do you believe there has been a 60% increase in suicide in the African American community over the past 20 years. Because when I was in school and we started this over 30 plus years ago, suicide was a white person's disease. White people did that. Black people don't kill themselves.
Mm.
And now it's a 60% increase because we care so much about what other individuals think about us. And we really tonight have to explore why. Why does it matter what someone else? Now, Maslow said in one of his hierarchy of needs that acceptance and love is one of those things. I talk to young girls all the time, and they're like, I want to get my butt done. I want to get a breast, this and that. And I said, one thing you have to understand is physically, this does not belong to you.
Correct.
That belongs to Mother Nature.
Correct.
And she coming for it.
Right.
She is coming for it at some point. So if you find a brother that loves you because of how you look, that means he's going to be doing what I term lily pad hopping.
Mm.
Because there's always going to be somebody that looks good over there and over there and over there. But when you find someone who loves you for who you are, then you got a different kind of connection.
Mm. That's
because
deep.
then it doesn't matter what you wear. It doesn't matter how you look. It matters who you are.
Right. Right. You know, Edward, you know, one of the things, and I think in my post, I made this crystal clear. Many a times, I got a group of folks I know, they call themselves GBA, guilty by association. And sometimes we put ourselves in positions where our associations define us. Like
Absolutely.
for example,
The
you know,
name
they say,
droppers.
right. They say birds of a feathers rocks
Rock together.
together. You know, so I'm this type of brother, and I always say this. You know, whether I'm rolling with Oprah, Obama, and Tyler Perry, I'm the same dude when I'm rolling with Junebug, Nene,
Nook and Pojo in them. That's right.
Nook and Pojo.
Yeah.
So the thing about it is, understand this: you might like nice things, but you have to ask yourself, why do you like the nice things? You know, if the only reason you like the nice things is to make you actually feel like you greater than someone else, what happens when those you should lose those nice things or those nice things get taken away? And
Correct.
see, you know, I remember my father once telling me, you know, son, there's always going to be somebody with more money, and there's always going to be somebody and if you put your money on your private parts, there's always going to be somebody who's hitting better than you anyway.
Yeah,
So
there you go.
you need to get wise to the game and start understanding that first of all, you're not going to be young forever. And that's another thing we really need to do a show about. How forget the black white arguments and differences that we have in this country, in this state, in your city. Talk about the old and young. I
The
see
generational
old,
gap.
right, hold it.
Yeah.
I see old black folks who don't get along with young black folks,
Yeah.
not understanding we can't fight an enemy when we fighting amongst ourselves.
Correct. And young folks who don't deal with black folks old folks, because they don't want to deal with old people. They're burdensome. But that is our history. That is our knowledge.
Correct.
That is where we should be getting fed from, and not from the television with the housewives of this and the housewives of that. We should be getting taught from the elders that we push away to the side. So when we start to look at why we want these things, it's so funny. I told my son the other day, I said, son, I'm going to get me a Versace robe. And he looked at me and he said, Dad, why? I said, because I like it, and I like the way they look. And he said, but it's a robe and nobody's gonna see it.
Oh, okay, hold on. Hold that thought. I want to put this up here and let you see this. So Mr. Dupree and Dr. Brown, do you believe self-love is what everyone is lacking? Because self-love starts within. But if I don't love me, how can I love others? So let me, I'm going to start it off and I'm going to let Dr. Brown finish it up.
Okay.
Let me say this, and I really want y'all to hear my heart when I say this. Everything starts with self. You know, you're going to have to, watch this. It's very hard to, many a times the problems, I'm going to give y'all something that I teach where I work at. I tell people facts, feelings, and hearsay. 95 of your problems is because of facts, feelings, and hearsay. First, you got to stick to the facts. Second, you got to stay out your feelings. And third, you can't render yourself to no hearsay. Now, let me give you something. I asked my class, brothers, you know, out of those 3 words, which one is the most important? And a lot of them said, well, facts are. And I said, why are facts so important? They said, because it's the truth. I said, okay, it's the truth. They said, yeah, it's really what's happening. I said, so let me ask you something. If you know it's the truth and you know it's really what's happening, but you can't prove it, I said, what does it become then? And one of the guys said, well, then it becomes hearsay or your opinion. I said, but that doesn't mean it didn't happen. See, right. I said, just because, see, I said, and that's the biggest problem a lot of times with us as people of color. I have 2 signs in my office. One of them says, everybody's got secrets until they get caught.
Absolutely.
And the second one is the one I love the most because it says, today, I'm 1 day closer to my expiration date.
I ain't got time to waste.
I ain't got time to play around.
Got time to waste.
Go ahead, Doc. So the question Sister Jackson asked was is that what everyone is lacking? And how can we love others when a lot of us don't love ourselves? It's
Okay.
on you, sir.
First thing I'm going to say is we're going to throw the word everyone out because not everyone has that issue. We're going to throw that out.
So we ain't gonna generally put everybody in the same pot.
Yeah, we're going to throw everybody out. Now, the question is an excellent question because one of the things that I always say is that everyone at some point loved themselves.
Mm.
Something happens and something occurs throughout the life cycle that either changes it or makes us doubt it.
Mm.
When you allow doubt or someone else's opinion to seep into what you feel, that's where it becomes diluted. Okay, so keep in mind, remember what I said. At some point, everyone loves themselves.
Come on.
Things happen, hurt, trauma, life events that make us start to question our self love, for lack of a better word. So the first thing you have to understand is people have a malicious spirit sometimes. And this is how I tell people, if you don't have self-love because of the people around you, ask yourself, why are those people so negative and why are they tearing you down?
Mm.
Because let me tell you something about, and this is something I'm writing about right now. People who are about their business don't have time to tear you down. They don't have time to say nothing negative about you. So when you start to stand in the mirror and say, I don't love me because I'm fat, where did that become a problem for you?
Mm.
Somebody looked at me the way, somebody I liked didn't like me because of my size. At some point in our lives, self-love, that statement, Ms. Jackson, is so true. It is hard for us to show love if we don't have love for ourselves. Because no matter what occurs, we got something negative to say. So what has to happen is you have to identify where that changed in you and start to repair it. For me, let me show you my story.
Come on.
I started out always, as they say, athletically built. And man, my uncles used to give me the blues. Oh Lord, grandma hide the food because here he come. And I was like, every day they used to drive me.
Mm.
It got to the point where I just expected it. It didn't make me feel one way or the other. But they constantly talked about my size and this, that, and the other. And when I went outside, when the dudes was like, oh, hey, here come this one. Look how you look. You know what I used to say? That's the best you got. My uncle's inside way funnier than you.
Mm.
So now don't let me go into a situation where I feel good about myself. All of a sudden, how I feel about me becomes contagious. And now other people feel that way about me. I'll never forget when I was in junior high school. The girls used to say, oh, he's so cute. Now, I used to laugh because in my mind, you know what I said? I think I planted that seed in their head. Because I started saying, I think I look cute.
Right. You
I
can't.
like me.
Right. You can't expect other folks to pat you on your back. You got to pat yourself on the back.
Yeah.
Now, I want to switch gears for a minute because
Okay.
somebody just sent me a message. And today, a very good friend of mine from my days of working in radio, I heard them talking about it on their talk show. So let's talk about shaming because that happens
yeah.
these days.
Mm-hmm.
So and shaming has now taken on a whole different direction. So let's talk about something that is just a few things that have happened in the news lately that's all connected with shaming. So of course, a lot of us know Nelly. It's getting hot in here. Nelly gets caught up with a sex tape getting released by accident. Actually, a tweet that he released by accident, it had some sexual acts. So people shamed him because of his size and things that happened inside the tape. Now that's one. Then, of course, at the Super Bowl, some folks shamed 50 Cent because they were like, 50 Cent look like he a whole dollar right now.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the latest shame has to do with Mary J. Blige and Michael Jordan because when Mary was taking some picture and Tyrese came up and put his hand on her thigh, Mary said, hold up, partner. It ain't that type of party. But seems to be Michael Jordan, not Michael
Yeah,
Jordan.
it was okay. Yeah, yeah.
Michael Jordan can put his hand wherever he wants to. So understand, I get them rings make a big difference. But here's the question. Here's the question. Now, the reason I brought this up is I wanted to bring up three men: Nelly, Michael Jordan, 50 Cent's actually four men, and Tyrese. However, if you right now try to fat shame Lizzo, every woman on this timeline is coming for your head. She coming, she ain't playing. So 50 Cent look like a whole dollar. That's fat shaming, but it's a man getting fat shamed, which it seems to be times have changed. Because watch this. Nobody really talked about the ladies' performance with Nelly. And all they were talking about was Nelly. Nobody talked about Mary was bent over with Tyrese. They talked about Tyrese put his hand. So the shaming of the men. But if you come right now and say something about Lizzo, everybody on your timeline gonna jump out there and be like, hold up, doctor. You can't shame her. And listen, I think Lizzo is a beautiful woman, even though she is a larger beautiful woman. I think all women are beautiful. But at the end of the day, the shaming game has changed because it seems to be.
What makes Lizzo so phenomenal? It's that she believes what she believes, independent of what anybody thinks. You know what I mean? She walked around. I saw a video of her walking around naked, and she was laughing and dancing and shaking. She could care less
what you think
what anyone else thought.
Come on.
Therefore, guess what? Once she didn't care, nobody else cared.
She set the tone.
She set the narrative.
Right.
She wrote the narrative, which goes back to what I said initially. When we start to give people control over our thermostat, they're going to take it. And they're going to utilize it. Now, let's go back to the whole concept of shaming. And then we'll deal with the double standard of men and women. Shaming is only an issue now, like we spoke about in class one day. Shaming is an issue because if Brother Dupree, you and I was in the mall and I called you ugly. Me and you and maybe two people who was passing heard. But if I call you ugly on social media and I got 500,000 followers, now 500,000 people know what I think of you.
Houston, there is a problem.
There's a problem. Now, so when we start, what I try to teach people and get people to say is, if 500,000 people see you call me ugly, you know what I'm going to say? Okay, who cares? Now, some of those people in that 500,000 might care, but I don't care. I really don't. So at that point, I set the narrative for me. Nelly, at some point, I'm pretty sure that brother's like, I don't care. Because guess what? If Nelly walked out into the mall right now, it's still going to be a mob of women. I literally actually had an opportunity to sit down and talk with that brother for about an hour. He's a normal, everyday dude.
Come on.
So I'm pretty sure he's going to be like, I'm not worrying about that. I'm more worried about, I got kids that may see this sex tape.
Right.
Now, I don't really care about what you think of my performance because, it doesn't matter to me. Now, when we start looking at if we were to shame Lizzo, there's different standards to men and women. We talked about this also. A man that has a bunch of women, he's a player.
Come on.
He a pimp.
Come on.
He a G.
Come on.
A woman that have a bunch of men,
Houston, there is a problem.
You know what I mean? She a floozy. She hot.
Right.
So
right, and it's two different standards. Right.
We have to stop with the double standards because when you think about it like this, I guarantee you, if Mary J. Blige had put her hand on Michael Jordan's ass, it wouldn't even been a story. If Mary J. Blige had pinched Tyrese on the thigh or rubbed his thigh, it wouldn't even be a story. But the fact that Mary J. Blige was sexualized by Jordan, by Tyrese, oh no, that's not going to happen. That's not going to fly. That's the society, that's the culture in which we live. Because for me, wrong, 2 plus 2 is wrong if Mary J. Blige said, 2 plus 2 is wrong if Michael Jordan said, if they both say it's 5.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So I don't think, but we've always been that way. And I've even used my own self as self-disclosure, having a son and a daughter. I find condoms in my son backpack. I'm like, hey boy, where you get this from? What you use this for? You know what this is for? Where you get this from? I find condoms in my daughter's purse. I'm like, oh Lord, we gotta have a meeting. Get everybody in here. Bring your mama. Let's just call the pastor in. Yeah. So there are double standards in our society.
And that's a good point. So family, if you want to join in on the conversation, if you have a comment or a question, if you have something that you feel like we need to discuss, come on in. You can give us a call right now at 917-408-3773. That's 917-408-3773. We are broadcasting live on Facebook and on YouTube. And family, we do this every Wednesday. It's Wellness Wednesday because a healthy you is a better you, and your mental health matters. Now, I'm going to put some things up there while we're waiting for some folks to call in. First of all, if you have any questions about your mental health or you need some counseling services, I put up there positivechoicescounseling.org. My good friend, Dr. Brown here has a great staff of people who are there to help you. If you did not know, I'm going to let you know one of the biggest statistics that's on the rise right now is mental health and suicide amongst people of color. So listen, if you turn on the news, we just lost a beautiful sister that was a former Miss USA.
Absolutely.
That unfortunately, due to whatever her mental state was, it drove
Regina
her to
King. Regina King just lost her son.
So, listen, family, we got to stop acting like it's okay, because we're here to tell you, if you're not okay, it's okay to let somebody know that you're not okay.
And to help.
And we don't want to see nobody get lost. We're really here to have the uncomfortable conversations that hopefully will bring us to a place where we can bring about some healing. Because I want to say this once again, like I said, the phone lines are open, 917-408-3773. A lot of us don't want to admit it because, like I said, I have a plaque on my desk that says we all have secrets till we get caught. A lot of us don't want people to know some of the things that we've been through in life and that we've been dropped. A lot of us, not all of us, because I'm not going to put us all in there, but a lot of us have been dropped. A lot of us have been dropped by our fathers. A lot of us have been dropped by our mothers. A lot of us have been dropped by family members. A lot of us have went through all types of abuses, be it verbal, be it sexual, be it physical. We have witnessed verbal, sexual, and physical abuses, and it really has affected our mindset, and it has us in a way that really we need help. We need someone to talk to. So I definitely infer that if you need a counselor or you need somebody to talk to, definitely go to positivechoicescounseling.org. You'll find out all the services that they offer. And guess what, family? It's nothing wrong with saying I need to talk to somebody. Brother Brown, it's all yours, sir.
Real quick to continue on that mindset. When we have a problem with our eyes, we go to an optometrist. Our skin, we go to dermatologist. Our feet, we a podiatrist. Our teeth, we go to a dentist. We need to normalize getting mental health treatment just like we normalize going get help in those other areas. The brain, the mind is just another part of the body, the machine that we call the body. So we have to go and get help if you need it. You are not in this alone. All right, so getting back to, I see Ms. Jackson has another question up here, another comment, Self-confidence is that thing that the key word in it is self. I sit around all the time and I use the example of there were 30 women willing to marry Flavor Flav on his show Flavor of Love. Not because Flavor is a good-looking brother, but because of the confidence that he has in himself as a man, as an artist, as an individual. People are going to feed off of what you think.
Mm.
That's human behavior. I
Mm.
teach human behavior 1 and 2.
Come on.
People are going to feed off of you. If you come in second guessing yourself, they're not going to have confidence in you.
Correct.
The prime example of that is Donald Trump. Donald Trump was the most unqualified president we've ever had.
Wow.
He was not a politician, but he held the highest. Listen to what I'm telling you. People used to always tell me, well, I voted for Trump because it's time to give a non-politician a try. I'm okay with that, except the president of the United States is the highest political position you can hold. Would you not want a political person holding that position?
Well, brother,
he convinced an entire half a nation he could be the president. And
watch
they
this.
voted for him.
Watch this. Well, Dr. Brown, I would like to have Mickey Mouse to be my neurosurgeon.
There you go. Because we need to give a non-neurosurgeon a chance. You know
Right. You know, it's just my life on the line. That's all.
So what happened with Trump was he convinced people with his confidence that he would be a good president. Ladies, you have been sitting somewhere and the brother that you would never talk to approached you. He had his confidence. He had his swag. It just wasn't for you. And when you rejected him, did he ball up and crawl out? No, he moved to the next flower.
Come on.
So yes, Ms. Jackson has a point. Self-confidence is something that cannot be allowed to be tampered with by someone outside of self. So you got to pay attention to that. You know, people are going to say I'll never forget. I had a brother that I went to school with, and we used to call him Walker. That was his last name. And this brother was always ashy, and I don't know what was going on in their house, but his uniform was always, stained up and dirty. But when he walked through the halls of the school, he thought so highly of himself. And people used to say, hey, Walker. And we would be like, Walker uniform dirty every day. But it didn't matter. We were like, hey, Walker. And Walker was like, hey, y'all, how y'all doing? People, everyone that's watching this podcast or that will watch it at a later date, if you do not feel good or have self-love, how can you expect, before we can get to Ms. Jackson's comment, how can we love others? If you don't love you, why should I love you?
Come on.
That's the $1 million question. If you don't love you or you don't care or think highly of you, why should I? Wow. At the end of the day, nobody does not have anything good about them. We practice something in the therapeutic realm called strengths perspective. And strengths perspective is simply everyone has some strength. So they say, what if they don't? What if they poor? What if they ugly? They got no eyes, one leg, and they can't read. They unemployed. They ain't got no money. They hungry. Well, what's positive about that? You alive.
Come on, because somebody wish they could be alive.
Yeah, it's somebody that didn't wake up this morning.
Right. So, and family wish they were still alive.
Absolutely. So at the end of the day, we have to start to self-evaluate. Look at ourselves. Lizzo said in an interview I watched, she said, my size and my body is not who I am. I'm inside of here. And baby, I'm happy. And if it's any of us that seen her, watched her interact in media, that sister look like she having a ball.
Right, right. I mean, at the end of the day, so many people want to change and look like what quote unquote the standard, whatever that standard is that has been raised by folks to say this is the standard. That's why sometimes I really laugh. At the end of the day, I've been around some real wealthy folks.
Yeah,
Most wealthy folks don't wear wealth. They
correct,
they never wear wealth. You
correct.
know, most wealthy folks will have on some old navy jeans and a
Well,
and a
first
and a
of all, they
t-shirt.
read they wealthy because they don't spend their money on that kind of
Right,
stuff.
right, right. So you know,
So I ask you all the time, if you're going to buy a bunch of stuff, and
mm,
here's my philosophy, and I'm not telling anybody that's watching this podcast or that will watch it to adopt my philosophy,
come
but
on.
here's
It
mine.
worked for you. It worked for
It's worked
you.
for me.
Worked for
I
you.
am not going to have a $3,000, $4,000 Gucci bag if I don't have $4,000 in the bank. That's me.
Ding,
That's me.
ding.
You know our brother Fatim got that bell? He
Right,
got to
right.
get us a bell.
I'm gonna have
You
to
know?
give me a bell. I'm gonna definitely
So
give me a
if
bell.
I don't have $4,000 to put in the bag, why should I have a bag like that?
Right, right.
You know, and I tell people all the time, know the difference between cost and value.
Come on, come on.
Now, Brother Dupree, my thing, I like watches.
Okay,
I'm a watch dude.
okay.
So when I was coming up, the first thing I said I'm gonna get me when I make it is I'm gonna get me a Rolex.
All right.
All right. So now I can sit here and say I got Rolex. They cost this, but do you know the watch that has the most value to me?
Talk
A
to me.
Timex my grandfather gave me when I was
Mm,
11 years old.
mm.
I still got that watch.
Cause it has sentimental value.
It has value. Now, back in the day, he might have paid $6 for it.
Come on.
But the value and the cost are so far apart that it doesn't matter. I look at sisters who will go to the Walmart and put together an outfit and go to the club and stop every man in their tracks.
Come on. Talk to me.
And then I know a sister that'll go and spend $5,000 on a Versace dress and don't nobody give her a second look.
Come on.
Now, at the end of the day, people say, let me not say people, I always say, I wear my clothes. My clothes don't wear me.
Ding.
So you have to start looking, but I have self-confidence. I have self-love, like Mr. Jackson was talking about. So if you are struggling with the formation of that confidence, of that self-love, you have to look at the standards that you're setting. See, because I tell people all the time, I've eaten steak that cost me $200. I also ate potted meat. And so here I am today.
And some spam.
And some spam. Here
Okay.
I am today. I got both in the cabinet.
Come on.
I like
Come on.
potted meat.
Come
on
on.
some crackers or some chips while I'm watching the game, it'll
Come
do
on.
me just fine. I don't define myself. You notice what I said? I don't define myself by what I have.
Come on.
So I'm definitely not going to let anybody else
Well,
define me by what I don't have.
Well, Brother Brown, we got to be real about some things. You know, I'm at the age, and I've sadly, I don't know if it's sadly or I just say that it's a life moment. I've had life moments where I've had to bury family members and friends, and I don't care what they had accomplished. We didn't put it inside the casket with them.
Correct.
You know, that we didn't bury them with the degrees.
That's right.
We didn't bury them with the house.
That's
we
right.
didn't bury them with the cars. We didn't bury them with the money. You know, they say there's 7 rules of life, and I posted this too, and I want to go over some of this. Give you a break for a second. Number 1,
Cool.
we really need to learn, family, how to let it go. Never ruin a good today by thinking about what went bad yesterday. See, we really need to wake up and learn to let go. Today I was in a conversation where somebody said, you know, one of the biggest problems with us as people of color is we don't know how to forgive and move on. You know, we get real upset and stay upset. I told you 2 eggs go into that the potato salad. You put 3. We not talking. Why they not talking? over the
Right.
potato salad. Okay. Okay, watch this. Number two, you need to learn how to ignore folks. Don't listen to other people. Live your life for you. You came here by yourself. You're going to have to leave by yourself. And guess what? Give it time. Number three, give it time. Time heals everything. Sometimes our biggest problem is we try to get out of one thing and jump right into another thing when we really need to heal from what we just left before we move on to something new. Too many of us carry baggage over. Go
Let
ahead,
me add this quote.
come
You
on.
can't move up if you can't move on.
Ah,
I'm gonna leave that one there for you.
and I think very, very much connected to what we're talking about tonight. Don't compare yourself. Understand this. You know, everybody is moving at their own pace and their own speed.
Absolutely.
You know, I can't compare my day 21 to your day 1021. You know, and we really got to think about it. You reap what you sow. You know, and I'm gonna bring myself back in on the screen on this one, family, and I'm gonna turn it back over to Brother Brown because we got the last 15 minutes of the show to close out. But listen to me, family. We got to stop expecting something from nothing. There used to be a song when I was much younger that said nothing from nothing leaves nothing.
Billy Preston.
But you got to have something
if you want to be with me.
Okay, so watch this. My dad, and I'm gonna give you this quick story of mine, and then I'm going to pass it back over to Dr. Brown. My father, a long time ago, gave me an acre of land and said, "Son, do what you will with this land." And at that time, I was young, and I moved a certain way, and I did absolutely nothing with the land. And come Christmas, that Christmas of the year that he gave me the land, I looked under the Christmas tree and had no presents. Had absolutely he would give me money every Christmas. I had no money because we used to have a savings book. Now that's something that some of you youngsters may know nothing about.
That's old school right
But
there.
we had a savings book, and my father, because we were on a farm, would give me certain things and put it in the savings book. I had nothing in the savings book. So he waited until I asked him the question, "What's going on?" He said, "Come with me." So we went to that acre of land he gave me. He said, "What do you see?" And I said, "What you mean?" He said, "What's to the left of the land I gave you?" I said, "Well, you planted corn. There's corn to the left of the land." He said, "Well, what's to the right of the land that I gave you?" I said, "Well, you planted soybeans. There's soybeans to the right of the land." He said, "What's behind the land I gave you?" I said, "Well, it's cotton behind the land you gave me." He said, "Everything, your land is surrounded. What's on your land?" I said, "Nothing." He said, "What happened? Your life depended on what was on this land."
Mm-hmm.
I said, "I would have absolutely nothing." He said, "And that's what you have."
That's right.
Nothing. Because he said, if you don't sow it, you can't expect to he said, you can't expect a harvest if you ain't planted nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And we really got to wake up with that, family. We got to stop expecting to get stuff when we ain't put nothing in it. A lot of us expect a lot out, but we ain't put nothing in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and we got to stop, and sadly, too many times we think certain things we planting has the value that it really doesn't. Men and women do this all the time. You know, I want the big house, I want the big car, I want this, and this. Well, girl, what you bringing to the table? I'm giving you sex.
Yeah.
Whoa, wait a minute.
Everybody got that.
Right, wait a minute. So your intimacy. See,
your contribution.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Now, some people say, "I'm giving you sex," but I said, "Wait a minute. You mean your intimacy has earned you the following?" You know, a good friend of mine who tried to be a pimp back in the day said, "Look."
That was his aspiration.
Right. He must have wanted to be a pimp, but I'm gonna make you laugh. He said this. He said, "If you charge it like that, I'm charging by the inch. We should break even somewhere in the middle." With that being said, Brother Brown, it's all yours, man.
Man, you can't give me a segue like that and expect me to be. Hey, listen, man. At the end of the day, this is by far probably the most lighthearted podcast we've had in the past 2 years.
Yeah.
My thing is, I look at it and I think about individuals and how we are going through this life cycle. And we're allowing individuals' opinions to have more weight than they should. And at the end of the day, one of the things I tell people is there are petty people on this planet.
Come on.
Pettiness stops progress.
Mm.
PSP. Pettiness stops progress. I remember going to, it was a little gathering of some city officials in New Orleans years ago. And there was a guy walking around, because, we suited up.
Right.
And this guy is walking around and he looked really disheveled. He had some dirty jeans on and some old tennis shoes. And I noticed he's walking around and nobody's saying anything to him. And I know everybody saw him because he was out of place like a sore thumb.
Mm.
And I leaned over to our frat brother, Mark Moriel. And I said, Mark, who is that? And he said, he's the one that paid for all of this. I thought he was a homeless dude that got in for the food.
Mm.
He was actually a businessman that was concerned about the violence in New Orleans and put together a whole like meeting of who's who in New Orleans. Didn't want to be known, didn't want to be seen.
Mm.
If you are at a point in your life where you are concerned more about what people think than what you think, I beg you, go back and reevaluate what's going on in your life. Because people will be malicious for no other reason than they can. They can, and we allow them to.
Mm.
At some point, you have to stand up and say, it doesn't matter what anyone thinks but me. Because people who truly care about you, they don't have any ill will towards you. They don't. People who have insecurities with themselves, like Ms. Jackson said, who don't love themselves, how they gonna love you? They don't think highly of themselves. How they gonna think highly of you? So if you sit there and you say, I am, not to be Jesse Jackson, but I am a good student. I am a good worker. And you back it up with your actions. There's a lady on the radio now named Karen Hunter.
Right, Karen, good,
And
very
Karen
good friend.
Hunter ends her show by saying, I love you. And love is an action word.
Come on.
That's how she ends her show. It's an action word. I show you how I feel about you through my actions. Someone that has your best interest in mind is not going to shame you, tear you down, or undermine you, belittle you, marginalize you. They are going to uplift you. We talk about relationships on this show. A relationship should enhance your life in some way. If
Correct.
it does not, reevaluate.
Come on.
Simple as that. Reevaluate. A relationship, be it friendship, co-worker, fellow student, minister, pastor, if it does not make your life better in some way, reevaluate.
Mm.
And that's okay. Because it's okay for you to be the best you can be. We come on here every Wednesday night and we pick topics. Sometimes we pick multiple topics. But at the end of the day, we give information that should better your mental health.
Come on.
That's the purpose of this. We don't do this because on Wednesday nights, Brother Dupree and I don't have anything to do. We met, 2 years ago?
This is very true.
We're going to do something.
Right.
Okay.
To make a difference. Because family, a lot of us are suffering and don't know where to go, especially people of color. The sad thing is I talk every day to someone who is looking for a source or a resource that could help them, and they just don't know where to go. And listen to me, that's the New Day slavery. New Day slavery says if you don't know, you can't go. And because media is controlled by so many entities that really don't want to do nothing but be a succubus and really suck our culture dry. And I'm saying that on Black History Month. And we've got so many issues in our communities, but I still believe in us, and I believe in us as a people. Sadly, we've got those of us who are mad at us and hate us more than they hate us. The worst thing I think I see is when I see people of color who hate people of color more than people non of color hate people of color. We got too many Stevens, and not enough Django's.
Yeah.
And that's sad. And it's done came to a whole new level. And then, these days and times, we've got just too many sons and daughters that are dying in the streets at the hands of other sons and daughters who look the same. Before I start getting mad at other folk taking us out, I look at the crazy statistics of how we take one another out. And a good friend of mine, Grandmaster Jay from the NFAC, said it best. He said, everybody wants to know what's next, but the truth about it is you ain't did nothing right now.
Correct. I think that is an excellent way to go out in this podcast today. If you are sitting around and you are having self-doubt, low self-esteem, go and ask yourself why. You're a dynamic person. You're alive on this earth. If you wake up every day, that means you have an opportunity. Waking up means you have two things: a choice and an opportunity every day. If you don't take advantage of it, it's not the world's fault. It's not the people around you fault. It's your fault. If you need someone to talk to give you guidance, direction, to walk this journey with you, give Positive Choices a call. We'll be more than happy to link you with a qualified mental health professional so that you can get that person that will help you understand the curveballs and all of the obstacles, that life is going to throw at you. I've been in this now for 33 years. And what I believe is that everything you need to be successful is inside of you. You just have to pull it out. You have to go get it. It's in there. And those of you that have it, keep doing what you're doing. We come here every Wednesday night. My brother Dupree always said, tell a friend to tell a friend. But what we want to do is to give you information that you can use. Give you information that when you having that tough moment at work, that tough moment at home with your husband, with your boyfriend, with your girlfriend, that you can say, you know what, I heard on that Wellness Wednesday, I have to let you be you and not let you change my thermostat.
Come on.
Because here's the thing I tell people about arguing. Whether we argue, I love you. If we don't argue, I love you. Right. I choose don't.
Come on.
You see what I'm saying? If we argue, I love you. If we don't argue, I love you. I think I'm going to choose to not argue, and that's me.
Right. I say it all the time. We can agree to disagree, but that doesn't make us mortal enemies.
We agree to disagree without being disagreeable.
Right. Right.
So I think that at this point, we talked tonight about, recapping in 10 seconds or so. We talked about looking inside of ourselves for what we're looking for, and not look to society or the people around us to give us joy. We got to find joy inside. And once you find joy inside, everything else looks a lot brighter. Brother Dupree, it's been a pleasure, man. It's always a pleasure to spend this Wednesday with you, man.
Well, my friend, as we always say, a healthy you is a better you, and your mental health matters. So I'm going to throw it back up there for you, family. Listen, if right now you're in need or you have some questions, it's nothing wrong with not being okay. It's okay to not be okay. What's not okay is to feel that you're alone, because you're not. And you got good people like the good people at positivechoicescounseling.org, a part of the Positive Choices Counseling Services LLC, that are there to be a conduit for you to help your mental health get better. If you need counseling, if you need family counseling, if you need youth counseling, if you need any type of counseling, definitely go to the website and see the services that they offer. And should you need someone to talk to, reach out to them, because they are there to help you. We do this thing every Wednesday. It is Wellness Wednesday. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Share this with a friend. You can go back and listen to the podcast. Of course, you can go to our website and catch the stuff on our website. We have an all new website, so you can go to the all new www.the100blk.com. Like I said, we do this every Wednesday for an hour. We do have phone lines that are open. And as we continue to groom the show and get the show together, we want you to speak out, talk about, not only throw your comments in, but you can give us a call and talk to us live on the show. So we're going to start bringing guests in and so much other things that we're going to do, because like we said, your mental health matters. So with that being said, Brother Brown, you got some closing words, man?
Hey, man, I appreciate you guys that tuned in. Tell a friend, Brother Dupree. I look forward to what this year holds. We got a lot more where this came from.
That's it. So, family, we up out of here. You have a great evening. Be safe. Be it you in the cold, or be it that you in the warm, wherever you at, just be you. And we out of here until the next time. We gone. We out.